Welcome back to 630 Point of View. Tonight in the Hot Box, the president of the American Petroleum Institute, Jack Gerard. President Gerard, thanks for joining me tonight. I want to start with your State of the American Energy address you did on Tuesday. You get a lot of shout-outs to North Dakota. Senator Heitkamp was there. You gave her a nice shout-out. I want to act as if the oil play here in North Dakota is a baseball game. Would you say we're in the first inning, the seventh inning stretch? What's your assessment?
Well, I think we're probably in the second or third inning, but we've sure got a long game to go. In fact, it may go into additional innings when you look at the potential out there in North Dakota. We're pleased with the representation you've sent to Washington, Senator Hoeven, Senator Heitkamp, and others who really understand now the energy potential of the nation. And North Dakota leads the way. You're the model for the country. I'm a big fan of the state and a big cheerleader for what you've done out there that's really shown the potential and led the way for the country.
So let me ask you this. Is there anything that could potentially stop this game in its tracks?
Well, we're hopeful there won't be. I mean, we've always got to watch closely kind of the regulatory activities. Governor Dalrymple has been very good at making clear that North Dakota is doing a great job and it's got a robust regulatory regime around the industry. So we're hopeful that the federal government doesn't feel the need to come in to duplicate and conflict with what the state is already doing. I like to remind people in Washington, look, there's no one more interested in protecting the water, the air, and their surroundings than the people who live there. The governors, the state legislators know how to regulate the industry. They've historically been the regulator, and they should be. So Washington, unless there's some problem you can identify, you don't need to get into this game and potentially impede or slow down what's taking place, once again, with North Dakota leading the way.
So, President, what I'm hearing you say is that, hey, this is a pretty safe play. It's a pretty safe bet if we're going to say that North Dakota's continue to see unprecedented tax revenues from the oil and gas industry. Is that a fair assessment?
Well, if you look today, this budget surplus you've created in your state, we saw in the state of Texas, it was announced just a few days ago, they thought they were going to have a deficit. They now have a surplus because of oil and gas revenues. This can happen clear across this country. And as long as we have additional need to produce our own energy, it should go on for some time to come. The Bakken Formation's a great example of that, where there's a lot more resource there than anybody thought possible just a few years ago. So if we don't do something to mess this up or to take it off the track, this is huge for the United States. It's historic in the opportunity we have to become self-sufficient as a nation.
And I think one of the exciting things that a lot of people don't talk about is we're at about a 7% extraction rate right now with the shale oil. I mean, technology progresses as it has. We get up to 15, 20, 25%. Who knows where this thing can go? I want to move on to our congressional delegation. You spoke about Senator Hoeven, Senator Heitkamp. You've now got Congressman Kevin Cramer, a former public service commissioner here in the state. How do you plan on working with our congressional delegation to get the Keystone Pipeline XL done?
Well, we're working closely with your delegation across political lines and others, and you've got some real leaders that you've sent to Washington. And let me say, from my vantage point, it's a breath of fresh air. They're not worried about partisan labels, Republicans and Democrats. They're worried about representing North Dakota and doing the right thing by the country. A Keystone XL pipeline is a perfect example. Senator Hoeven has been a great leader there. He's been pushing this from the national agenda, from the national stage. He's led a lot of his colleagues to step forward and say, you know what, this is in the national interest. He's done it in such a way he's got broad bipartisan support. I believe there were 18 U.S. senators, 9 Republicans and 9 Democrats, that co-signed a letter that he led saying, you know what, we should do this as a nation. It benefits not only North Dakota, Montana, and others, but benefits what we bring in from Canada and ultimately the country as a whole.
President, you said in your address that North America could become self-sufficient in liquid fuels in 12 years. A little bit more on the Keystone Pipeline. A lot of people are saying even if that gets built, the challenges we face is that gas prices are going to still go up in the Midwest. Over half of this oil is going to be exported because we simply don't have the refining capacity here in America. 2 questions for you. One, why don't refineries pencil, and what has to happen to get them to pencil so we have more refining capacity here in America?
Well, one of the things the public should know is we have adequate refining capacity in the United States today. We refine everything we consume, and we're able to actually export some today. What's happened is a lot of people say, well, there are no new refineries. Well, there are no new refineries as it relates to individual new refinery capacity, but we have greatly expanded not only the footprints where we currently exist, but made those operations even more efficient. So we've got adequate refinery capacity. Some of the other comments you made are coming from our critics. Issues such as, well, we're going to export all this. That's just a silly argument. The reason they raise those issues is they're trying to stop the very oil and gas production that has been a great benefit to North Dakota and the nation. So we have to look through a little bit where some of these critics are coming from. Many of them are trying to get us off fossil fuels altogether. Let's just look at the facts. The facts show this is good for the country. It's good for job creation. It's good for revenue. And we can indeed become energy self-sufficient. Now, that doesn't mean we ignore other energy forms. We need all the renewables. North Dakota is a leader in wind, for example. We need wind. We need to become more energy efficient. But we also need to recognize 62% of the energy we use today is oil and gas. And over 50% of the energy we'll use 30 years from now will still be oil and gas. So let's take advantage of our opportunities right here in this country. Let's produce what's good for the country. Let's put our people to work.
President Girard, you talked about, look, we've got the refining capacity in this country. You and I both know oil production is up under the Obama administration, and yet gas prices have continued to rise. So if we've got the refining capacity, oil production is up, why is gas continuing to go up?
Well, gas is a function, keep in mind, of the cost of crude oil. Never get it confused with, on the downstream side, what eventually goes to the gas pump is a direct result of the cost of crude oil. So if we want to bring downward pressure on the price of gasoline, we have to bring more supply of crude oil to the marketplace, and it puts downward pressure on that price and thus results in reduction at the gas pump. We can't control the Middle East. We can't control the demand in China for crude oil. What we can control is the amount we produce and put into that supply equation. And once again, that's where North Dakota is taking the lead. The significant increases in production out of North Dakota, which we could mirror in other states, Ohio being one, Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, some of the traditional states, that will put downward pressure on price. And the way to do that is through expanded development and production. Once again, right where North Dakota is leading us.
President Girard, thanks so much for your time. I look forward to having you back. There's a lot more I do want to discuss with you. And great to hear you say, hey, we're in the early innings of this oil play, and there may be some extra innings. Again, President Jack Girard, president of the American Petroleum Institute. Stay close. Coming up here on 630 Point of View, a lot more coming at you. And as always, please join our conversation. We'd love to hear your thoughts on oil production here in the state, gas prices. Simply go to our website, 630pov.com. You can call us, email us, and now via this number, text us as well. Lots more coming up.